It remains one of America's most haunting mysteries. A straight-A senior boards a plane laughing with friends, and 5 days later her picture is everywhere, yet she herself is nowhere. This is the story of Natalee Holloway. An ordinary departure, a dream destination, and then nothing. A disappearance with no witnesses, no body, no answers, as if an entire life had vanished between two sunsets. What was meant to be a joyful escape became one of the most chilling cases of the 21st century. Natalee Ann Holloway was raised in Mountain Brook, a tree-lined suburb outside Birmingham, Alabama. Neighbors recall her darting from school to church, youth group, to dance practice without missing a beat. Teachers recall test scores that always surfaced at the top of the stack. Friends recall a laugh big enough to fill a stadium. At 18, she held a full academic scholarship to the University of Alabama, intending to study pre-med and eventually treat children. But before the next chapter began, the class of 2005 earned its reward: a senior trip to the Caribbean. On Thursday, May 26, 2005, a charter jet lifted Natalee and 124 classmates into the clouds. 7 volunteer chaperones assured parents that rules would be strict and curfews firm. Yet Aruba, famed for blinding white sand and turquoise surf, moves to a rhythm that coaxes even cautious teens to loosen their grip on bedtime. The Holiday Inn casino hummed, beach bars throbbed with steel drum covers of rock songs, and the warm trade wind made every hour feel like a gift. 4 nights blurred together, sunrise swims melted into afternoon snorkel trips, and laughter tracked sunburned seniors down every alley. Late on Sunday, May 29th, the class converged at a downtown hotspot called Carlos and Charlie's. Neon parrots glowed over the doorway, salsa bass rattled the windows, and the crowd spilled into the street. Inside, Natalee wore a denim skirt and bright tank top, the colors spinning like a mirror ball across the floor. She chatted with a lanky Dutch student she had met in the casino 2 nights earlier. His name was Joran van der Sloot. 17 years old, he lived on the island with his parents and bragged about playing competitive soccer. Around 1:30 a.m. on Monday, May 30th, security cameras captured Natalee leaving with Joran and his friends, Deepak and Satish Kalpo. Witnesses watched her slide into the back seat of Deepak's gray Honda. Taillights painted red streaks along the coastal highway, then vanished around a bend toward the California lighthouse. The night swallowed the car, the surf thundered, and Natalee Holloway disappeared. Hours later, dawn brushed the sea pink. Seniors gathered in the hotel lobby for the bus that would take them to the airport and back to real life. One seat was empty. Natalee's hotel bed was perfectly made, her suitcase open yet untouched. Classmates found through hallways, stairwells, and cafes, calling her name, ringing her phone, adrenaline shaking their voices. Panic rose from whispers to shouts. Chaperones alerted hotel security. Security contacted the Aruban police. 2,000 miles away in Alabama, Beth Holloway received a call that flipped her world upside down. Beth and her husband Jug chartered a plane and landed on Aruba that same night. The island felt smaller than a rumor. Every road ended at the sea. Every cactus threw a suspicious shadow. Within hours, the Holloways, escorted by police, reached the Van der Sloot family home. Joran appeared relaxed, offering a story that felt thin before the last word left his lips. He claimed he had dropped Natalee at the Holiday Inn entrance and watched her wobble toward a security guard. No guard ever supported the story. Still, it was the only account on the table. A search unlike anything Aruba had witnessed ignited. FBI agents, Dutch Marines, island volunteers, and tourists in flip-flops marched across scrub desert and dusty salt flats. Helicopters hovered, divers probed coral caves, bloodhounds threaded through thorny divvy trees. Reporters arrived with satellite trucks, beaming live shots of Beth Holloway clutching a photo of her daughter in a red dress. For many TV viewers, Natalee's face became the face of every missing child. On June 9th, Aruban police arrested Joran van der Sloot and the Kalpo brothers on charges of kidnapping and murder. Sirens wailed, flashbulbs popped, and parents across the United States exhaled. Briefly. Under Dutch-influenced law, detectives had to produce evidence quickly or release the suspects. After 25 days, Satish and Deepak walked free. Joran remained behind bars until September 3rd, when a judge ruled the case too weak for further detention. Each release felt like a door slamming on Beth Holloway's hope, yet she refused to back away. Tips inundated a hotline. Natalee spotted in a brothel, on a yacht, at a grocery store in Caracas. All dead ends. In mid-July, a gardener reported seeing Joran near a remote pond at 2 a.m. on May 30th. Police drained the murky water for days, uncovering rusted bicycles, but no trace of a girl who weighed scarcely more than a memory. August washed up a fisherman's trap, sparking rumors of a weighted burial at sea. Again, nothing. Each failure pulled the public deeper into obsession. Cable hosts dissected timelines, and bloggers posted homemade maps speckled with speculation. November 21st, 2007, delivered a jolt. Investigators rearrested Joran in the Netherlands and the Kalpoes in Aruba, citing new digital evidence. For 8 days, the world believed the breakthrough had come. Then another judge deemed the evidence insufficient. All three walked free just as hurricane season ended, leaving the case eerily calm and stubbornly unresolved. By early 2008, the saga seemed destined to fade, until Dutch crime reporter Peter R. de Vries aired hidden footage that snapped millions awake. Undercover video showed Joran lounging on a couch, telling a friend that Natalee convulsed and died and that he dumped her body in the ocean with an accomplice's help. The confession sounded chilling, final, damning. Yet when police pulled him in, Joran dismissed the tape as a fantasy spun to impress a drug dealer. No charges stuck. The calendar flipped to 2010. 5 years to the day after Natalee vanished, the world heard Joran's name again, now linked to another murder. On May 30th, hotel cameras in Lima, Peru, recorded him entering a room with 21-year-old business student Stephanie Flores. A cleaning crew discovered her beaten body the next afternoon. Joran fled to Chile, was captured, and quickly confessed. He claimed rage ignited when Stephanie found an email tying him to Natalee Holloway. The symmetry, a death exactly 5 years later, unsettled even veteran detectives. Peruvian courts sentenced him to 28 years, later increased to 35 after a drug smuggling conviction behind bars. He was moved to Chalapalca prison, a concrete fortress perched on a windswept Andean plateau where the air is razor-thin. There, temperatures plunge below freezing at night and inmates burn scrapwood to cook rice. Guards say the horizon feels like the edge of the world, a fitting exile for a man whose lies once circled it. While Joran adjusted to cold stone walls, Beth Holloway pressed on. In January 2012, after anguished deliberation, an Alabama judge declared Natalee legally dead. The order settled paperwork, but not a mother's heart. Beth turned grief into mission, launching a foundation that teaches families how to navigate foreign police systems when a loved one vanishes. She traveled to conferences and late-night talk shows, repeating her daughter's name so it wouldn't slip beneath newer headlines. Then came 2017. Volunteers combing Aruba's North Shore unearthed bone fragments near rocky dunes. DNA labs hummed for weeks before ruling the bones were not Natalee's. Hope flared and then gutted out. Around the same time, legal scholars noted a grim reality. Aruba's 12-year statute of limitations for manslaughter had expired. Even a confession might never open an island courtroom. Confession, however, found another path. Back in 2010, before killing Stephanie Flores, Joran had demanded $250,000 from Beth's attorney for Natalee's whereabouts. The FBI set up a sting, handed him $25,000, and watched him point to an empty foundation. Federal indictments followed for extortion and wire fraud, but Peru kept him out of reach until May 2023, when the country granted a temporary extradition. On October 18, 2023, under gray Alabama skies, Joran van der Sloot shuffled into a Birmingham courtroom. He pleaded guilty to extortion and wire fraud and signed a statement describing Natalee's final minutes: a deserted beach, rebuffed advances, a furious kick, a cinder block, and waves that carried a body away. He showed no remorse and received a 20-year U.S. sentence to run alongside his Peruvian term. If Peru releases him early, U.S. Marshals will be waiting. As 2024 unfolded, Joran's notoriety stalked him behind bars. In April, he was slashed by 2 inmates wielding improvised blades, escaping with minor cuts. In July, a Dutch newspaper published his handwritten plea to transfer to El Salvador's mega-prison. Officials ignored it. Court filings in June 2025 list his earliest release, even with good behavior credits, as June 10, 2045. Despite the legal maze, the Holloway case keeps evolving. In 2024, MIT engineers unveiled a fleet of autonomous sonar drones capable of scanning seafloor terrain 50 times faster than traditional vessels, stirring talk of mapping Aruba's coastal shelf in unprecedented detail. The Holloway Foundation expressed interest in partnering with Seabed 2030 scientists, though funding remains uncertain. Streaming platforms confirm public appetite. Peacock released Pathological, a 3-part analysis of Duran's manipulations, and Netflix greenlit a 2025 limited series set to follow new investigative dives. Throughout 2006, the case stayed alive in living rooms thanks to nightly debates on shows such as Larry King Live. Crime analysts sparred over tide tables, cell tower pings, and dust samples lifted from the Honda's floor mats. Aruban detectives traveled to the United States to share files with the FBI, only to encounter procedural gaps that slowed cooperation. The case even reached the Alabama legislature, which passed a non-binding resolution, urging travelers to shun Aruba until justice was served. That summer, volunteer teams returned with ground-penetrating radar, hoping to locate clandestine graves in limestone caves. The machines fired pulses into the earth, painting ghostly cross-sections on laptop screens. Every anomaly sparked excitement, a hammer drill, and disappointment. One afternoon, the radar flagged a hollow pocket beneath a slab of coral. Crews broke through, discovering only an antique bottle and seabird bones. Media fatigue set in by late 2007, yet Beth Holloway found fresh ways to keep attention. She licensed Natalee's image to a college safety program that toured campuses, teaching freshmen to guard drinks, use tracking apps, and register foreign travel with the State Department. The program, dubbed Natalee's Path, has enrolled more than 500,000 participants and is credited with helping rescue dozens of missing travelers. After the legal death declaration, Beth held a memorial service at Birmingham's Cathedral Church of the Advent. A brass quartet played Amazing Grace, candles lined the aisle, and a closed white casket symbolized the unanswered questions. People who had never met Natalee drove from as far as Ohio to sign the guest book. Reporters stood outside in freezing drizzle, their umbrellas blooming like black flowers in the wind. From 2013 through 2016, Beth's foundation funded annual cadaver dog exercises on Aruba. The dogs, German shepherds named Quest, Valor, and Echo, arrived each August on Air Force cargo planes, trained to detect remains decades old. They searched abandoned wells, hotel construction pits, and sinkholes. Each mission ended without success, yet trainers called the trips vital practice for disasters elsewhere, turning Natalee's name into a banner for broader humanitarian work. Culturally, the case reshaped how television treats missing person stories. Producers of the 2020 docuseries I'll Be Gone in the Dark cited the Holloway coverage as both inspiration and caution. Inspiration to mobilize viewers, caution against sensationalism that can squander leads. Journalism schools dissect early headlines to expose bias and news urgency. Technologists took lessons too. In 2022, Google developers launched an open-source mapping tool called Holloway Map, allowing families to crowdsource last-known location sightings. By mid-2025, the beta had already helped Mexican authorities locate 3 missing backpackers. Press pause and picture Aruba after midnight. Trade winds rattle palm fronds like distant applause. Surf booms against breakwaters, erasing footprints within minutes. Beyond the reef, currents swirl strong enough to move cargo containers during hurricane swells. Some experts believe any remains left unburied would drift miles within hours. Others argue bones can wedge between coral boulders for decades, awaiting the right sonar ping. Hope now rides more on machines than on hunches. The drones unveiled in 2024 operate in packs of 20, each no bigger than a kayak. They skim the surface in perfect grids, sending acoustic pulses that stitch 3-dimensional mosaics of the seafloor at resolutions once reserved for submarine engineers. Early trials off the Florida Keys located wrecks no taller than a lamppost. Scientists believed the same system could spot a single concrete block, half buried in sand. At a 2025 symposium in Miami, a marine robotics firm screened footage simulating a search along Aruba's northwestern shelf. Virtual reality goggles immersed viewers in a silent cathedral of turquoise water, spotlighting depressions that might hold answers. Beth Holloway sat in the front row. When the lights rose, she told reporters that Natalee loved science class. She would want every future missing person found. If that happens, her legacy will be hope. These advances do little to ease the ache in Mountain Brook. Picture the classmates at their 20th reunion in 2025. Some arrive with toddlers on their hips, others flash wedding photos and new careers, yet every toast circles back to the friend forever 18. One alum remembers Natalee high-stepping under stadium lights, blonde ponytail swinging like a metronome. Another recalls her staying late to tutor a freshman failing algebra. The reunion playlist pauses for a silent minute. No one speaks, but everyone understands. Walk the red brick streets of Birmingham on a warm August night, and the porch light at the Holloway house still burns. Beth switches it off now and then, a sign that life must continue, but she never unscrews the bulb. The same moonlight that glints off Alabama leaves also silvers Aruba's Eagle Beach, rolling over water that might cradle the truth. Could the new sonar drones trace underwater grooves where a cinder block once slid? Could a satellite altimeter flag an anomaly no diver has reached? Or might a guilty mind, bruised by decades of isolation and rising regret, someday volunteer coordinates? The ocean has erased shipwrecks and preserved pirate coins. It has swallowed cities and surrendered glass-perfect amphoras. In time, it may yield one more secret. Until then, every hotline tip, every seismic data point, every whisper drifting through a prison corridor keeps the case breathing. The mystery of Natalee Holloway endures not because true crime fans crave closure, but because her story taps primal fears. A parent's dread, a young traveler's risk, the vertigo of vanishing without trace. When an 18-year-old can step from daylight into legend, the world feels less steady and listeners lean in, hoping knowledge brings control. Leave a comment with your theories about that moonlit ride. Did Joran act alone? Did currents scatter remains beyond reach? Could accomplices still walk free? Share the questions that keep you awake. Like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into cold cases, and ring the bell so the next mystery finds you first. Somewhere, someone holds the clue that can trade silence for truth. Perhaps that someone is watching right now.